After 14 years and 4 movies of being absent, let's give it up for the return of Bryan Singer. Yay, Bryan Singer's back, baby. X-Men Days of Future Past, directed by Bryan Singer, the man who also directed the first 2 X-Men movies in the original trilogy, and tells the story of the future is a completely dark, crappy place that's been completely overrun by mutant killers robots known as the Sentinels, who were created by Trask after he was assassinated by Mystique. So it's up to Logan and the remaining mutants to go back in time and prevent Raven from ever assassinating Trask, to prevent this crappy future from ever happening and make it better. So yes, thank goodness Bryan Singer has returned to Days of Future Past, because how does Days of Future Past hold up 3 years since its release back in May 2014? Holy crap! Days of Future Past is not only one of the best X-Men movies ever made, period, it's one of the greatest superhero films ever made. Thank goodness Bryan Singer's back, and he is back with the biggest bang you could possibly imagine. In his absence from this franchise, he was directing Superman Return and Jack the Giant Slayer, but I think we can all agree that Mr. Singer is the only director for X-Men. X-Men made his name on the big screen, and this movie probably wouldn't have turned out as awesome as it did without him. I think he came back something like this. Ever since Bryan Singer left, we've been struggling to find a director to replace him. I mean, we've had a bumpy road with our other 4 directors. It's okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. Just sign me on to Days of Future Past. Mr. Singer, you're back! Oh, thank you so much, sir! And thus, Singer returns, and he's fixing all the problems with the past disappointments in the series. I mean, I like The Last Stand, even if it was a little underwhelming, but Origins Wolverine, thank God Bryan Singer made us forget about that shit, and he's come along, he's fixed everything, and he has given this movie such a refreshing, not only nostalgic, but original feel to it. He's combined the old and new into a comic book masterpiece. I fucking am blown away by how awesome the opening is in the dark apocalyptic future. It's so awesomely and grimly designed, and these Sentinels are great. The Sentinels are they're fucking formidable. They are a true force to be reckoned with. And the opening battle with them and the mutants just trying to stay alive, just desperately trying to fight for survival, is epic. It's so brutal, and there's so much tension here, seeing the mutants go up against an enemy that literally they can't beat, because the Sentinels just adapt to whatever powers a mutant has. Yeah, it's such a sensational opening that despite having a narration by Patrick Stewart, the narration is sparing, and overall it does show us overtelling us, and I so happy that Hugh Jackman as Wolverine returned for this film. Although he was barely focused on in First Class, so he only had a cameo in that movie. That worked for that film, but I'm glad they not just brought him back, they brought Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen as Charles and Eric back, and they do also bring back caster from the original X-Men trilogy, which I'll get to a bit later, but it was absolutely delightful seeing them reprise their roles. Yeah, both the old and the new cast, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender and Jennifer Lawrence and Nicholas Heine, all return. It doesn't forget this is still a sequel to First Class. So if this is kind of in a way a sequel to The Last Stand, as well as First Class, and as well as a prequel, as it takes place in the 70s. So yeah, So yeah, we have a time travel X-Men movie, which is so interesting. We haven't seen time travel in this series done before. In fact, this movie does time travel better than any other superhero film I have ever seen. I it's a great moment when Logan does go back to the 70s. Yeah, I adore the 70s setting of this movie, since First Class took place in the 60s and the Wolverine took place in Japan. We're finally getting great new locations from this series. And although when Logan does wake up, he for some reason has these bone claws, which is really bizarre. I mean, I still prefer his metal claws, if uh, but if his bone claws are an original idea, I don't mind it so much. And I I love Charles Xavier's portrayal in this film. At least young Charles Xavier. He's a broken man. He's just down on his luck. He doesn't see any hope. This was, of course, before he became the confident badass as we see him in the future. It's up to Logan to convince him to get over that. Along and Nicholas Hine as the Beast is a total badass here. He totally goes all out crazy and attacks you if you upset him. So yeah, I actually think Nicholas Hine does a better job here than he did in First Class. And the whole part where they have to break Magneto out of prison with the help of everybody's favourite character in this movie, Quicksilver, is just great. I prefer this Quicksilver to Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, but I'll review Age of Ultron for another day. And of course, we all know the Quicksilver scene in this movie. We've all seen it in the kitchen where he's running in slow motion and he's switching the bullets round. He's saving our heroes, and he just saves the day in literally a matter of seconds. And when he runs at time pass in slow motion, that's how quick he is. That's pure awesomeness. I wish I had that power. Who doesn't wish they could be like Quicksilver? That is one of the best. That's one of the best X-Men scenes, hands down. That will go down in history as a classic comic book moment. And gotta admire the planning and detail that went into that scene, especially the effects. Thank goodness they brought Quicksilver back for Apocalypse, and he probably even topped his scene from Days of Future Past in that film, as I said in my Apocalypse review. And Jennifer Lawrence as well as Mystique. This is really her movie and her story. She believes that she's on this mission by killing Trask, she will save mutant kind, even though that does the complete opposite. So it's as such that adds such a great race against time and urgency to the film. For our heroes, they have to find her in time and convince her to spare Trask. Otherwise, the shitty future will come to pass. And Lawrence, this is probably her best performance in the entire series. I even liked her in Apocalypse, but I can't deny Days of Future Past is Mystique's best movie. I love every single scene with her, is truly awesome. Yeah, I love her disguises throughout the film. You can never tell it's going to be her, which adds a great deal of surprise whenever she does appear, and she gets that great line, "What's the matter? You don't think I look pretty like this?" And Trask, the antagonist of this movie, played by Game of Thrones actor Peter Dinklage. Yes, a Game of Thrones stars in an X-Men movie. That's so cool. Trask is a decent villain. He's far from the best villain in this series, but he's serviceable, and he did create the unstoppable badass Sentinel, which did provide a threat. Yeah, the Sentinels were probably better antagonists than him, but hey ho. And the film is all the way nothing but fun and excitement. It's absolutely flies by for a 2 hour movie. It's the perfect length. This is one of the best paced X-Men movies. I never had any issues with the pacing, as well as the action in this film being some of the best in the entire series. The action in this movie is phenomenal. It's fucking incredible. The parts are where Mystique at first tries to assassinate Trask, and she gets a bullet in her leg, and somebody films that with a 70s character. That added a real feel to it. I of course mentioned the opening battle with the mutants and the Sentinels in the future being pretty epic, but the earth-shattering climax of this movie is where the film really finds its footing. It's an absolutely joyous and breathtaking finale. It's one of the best third acts in any X-Men movie and comic book movie. When I saw it at the cinema, my jaw dropped to the ground. I was going, wow, holy shit! I'm in. When Magneto just lifts up that entire fucking stadium and just puts it over the White House, and he takes control of the Sentinels himself. Yes, thankfully they still continue Magneto's quest for revenge on the humans for everything they've done to him, as he is totally on Mystique's side of assassinating Trask. So yeah, the battle in the arena, fucking epic, as well as they intercut with the future in China, where the surviving mutants are trying their best to hold the Sentinels off. So yeah, the stakes are ever so high in this finale. In both realities, shit is going down. It's absolute haywire. And the one moment when Mystique, she's pointing the gun at Trask, she's about to pull the trigger, but young Xavier convinces her, please don't do this. If you shoot him, the world's only gonna see us as the enemy. And to which she reluctantly, thankfully, puts the gun down, and thankfully, just in time before the Sentinels can destroy our mutants in the future, that alternative universe disappears, as the Sentinels were never created, since the government never did any research into the Sentinel program, and an alternative universe is born. It's as if Bryan Singer has come to make things right. So all of the previous X-Men movies, they've now been pretty much erased. Including the Wolverine, which was only a year old when this movie came out. Now that's gone, and that end is ridiculously satisfying. It put a big smile on my face seeing Charles alive again. Charles, great to have you back, buddy. And even Jean, great to have you back. You should have come back to life at the end of the Wolverine. And even Cyclops is back, and he tells Logan to back away. And it's so funny when Logan's like, some things never change. So yeah, round of applause, Bryan Singer. You've brought us back. You've saved this franchise. This is the X-Men movie we have been waiting for years, as well as the score being absolutely amazing. So happy they used that classic theme from X-Men 2 in the opening title. So overall, guys, Days of Future Past is a comic book masterpiece. It's has truly restored the X-Men franchise to its once former glory, even more so than First Class. I wasn't expecting it to top First Class, but that's exactly what it did. It's easily the best X-Men movie since X-Men 2. It is easily in my top 10. I'd rank it probably even in my top 5 favourite comic book movies of all time. I don't have any problems with this film at all, and while it's not quite my favourite of the rebooted X-Men trilogy, it's easily my second favourite, and I love it more and more every time I watch it. I give X-Men Days of Future Past 5 stars out of 5. Well guys, we've now almost come to my Logan review. If you want to know my thoughts on Deadpool and Apocalypse, I did already review them last year on my 2016 reviews playlist, so be sure to check them out. Well, love you guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and what do you think of Days of Future Past? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow us and on Google Plus. I love getting new subscribers, making new friends, and talking to you guys about movies. Really appreciate that. And I'll see you next time when I review Logan. Bye, guys.